Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. So Human Operating System video channel is for education and technology only. So recently in my video, I have shared that we need to get scientific because our opponent or our friends in MMA, in Jiu-Jitsu, in Western boxing have already go really scientific based on sport science and have different variable technology to help them to train effectively and efficiently and to get result. So the question will be, so how is Wing Chun is going to train that way with the technology so that it can help one to be more efficient and effective and get result in the Wing Chun training or even traditional Chinese martial art training? Well, I have worked out a solutions for that, okay? And that is the H model, in the Wing Chun Inception book, okay? So the H model there is the core how we can use the modern sports science and the variable technology to help one to train more effective, efficient, get result, to monitor one, to verify one. Now, before I get to that, let me explain you about this book because it's important to know, okay? So this book, what is this for? This book is presenting the key basic of traditional Chinese martial art, specifically Wing Chun, mapped into today's sports science, okay? So the first part, the first 4 chapters is presenting the 1850s Wing Chun, or you can look at that a common denominator of the ancient traditional Chinese martial art mapped into the modern sports science. And then the second part, the chapter 5 to chapter 8 is to present the uniqueness of traditional Chinese martial art or Qigong, which is the natural Qi part and the synchronizations of the Qi, the breathing, the body mechanics part, okay? That's the second part. So there are already few people using this part of these few chapters to decode what they train in Qigong, because this explain well the mechanics of Qigong, so they can use this to decode what they are practicing. This is a tools, okay? This book is intended for the tools. And the chapter 9 is using that the nurture Qi style to use it in the daily life for recovery and for daily sleep, rest, for stress management, or mindfulness and those kind of stuff. So this book actually is mapped the ancient Chinese, what we want to know and what we don't even know that exists into today's sports science, okay? And be able to verify whether we train it properly, we got the result or not, okay? So that is where this chapter is come from. And this model, the H model is formed. H model means it's not Hendrix model, it's heart rate model, okay? H model, because it's based on heart rate zone, okay? What heart rate zone, what you know, the physiological state is it, okay? So the Wing Chun's 小龍頭 1850s physiological state, 6 of them is mapped into this 6 heart rate zone. So we can track it with today's wearable device. We can track our heart rate variability, and also SpO2, your oxygen in your blood. Okay. So as in this Xin Qi to Dan Tian, for example, your SpO2 will be benefit because Xin Qi of Dan Tian is deep breathing. Okay. So if one have say a Garmin Forerunner 245 up to Phoenix, one be able to track this heart rate and the SpO2. And if one have a Polar Vantage, one be able to track the heart rate, the respirations, and then the breathing rate, and the heart rate variability. So both Garmin and the Polar Vantage be able to do the job. It just depends on which how individual like which type of presentation. Okay, so like the Garmin, if in the nurture qi, in the daily recovery, one can actually read out the stress level or the rest level. This is Garmin. Okay, so when one practices it, one right away can do a snapshot. Okay, the heart rate going down, the stress level, does it going down to the resting? Or in the Polar, one can see how is the conditions of the practice that day. So this is all this. Okay, so this part, in this heart rate zone part, one can have the wearable, the fitness watch today to track that, including the SpO2. So one can track their body condition. Okay, whether one supposed to train or not train that day, because the bottom line of this, like the runner using it, the sport people using it, is to track that the body conditions and to improve the training and recovery. Okay, recovery is about nurture qi, and so it link up. Okay, so you can use that to track it. Now, as for the over here, after zone 3, there is the impulse momentum handling. That too have gadgets to track that. Well, for example, this gadget, which is mount on your heavy bag, or you can mount on your wooden dummy. Okay. Well, guess what? It can track the speed, endurance, and the force. That is impulse momentum, right? So and this is not what do you call it? Not toy. For example, this girl, we know that Zhang Weili, right? Let me show you this.
哇！我没想到我1分钟，哇！我没想到我1分钟。哇！我没想到我1分钟打了7467公斤，然后平均打击力是89公斤一拳，然后这上面有总。
He's using the same thing as this guy, right? And it is this. So Now, from one side, we have this gadget to measure it. On the other side, we have this gadget to measure it for the impulse momentum. One track does both in one's practice. If one wants to train in that for fighting conditioning. Now, if one train for the slow, for the qi gong, for the nurturing the qi, then one don't need this. This is for the impulse momentum. Now, I show in here. This is with the heart rate tracker, heart rate variability, SpO2. Over here is the impulse momentum, the force tracker, which be able to track your force, endurance, and speed. You cover the entire thing. Okay, so it's a comprehensive stuff. So because we have this, we are not going to do the idiotic stuff, what do you call it, the demonstration where you put a student, you see in the video in YouTube, put a phone book, and then you put a sun punch, try to say, you know, see how powerful the sifu is, you know, to punch the student, and the student sometimes in the YouTube you can see that the student really feel hurt or all kind of stuff. We're not going to do those idiotic stuff. We're going to use this, take the number. We know our other friends in MMA, in boxing and so forth is using that. We can compare number, we can compare endurance. We don't have to use the student just to boost one's ego, or not to mention what does it mean. It doesn't mean much at all. Well, you beat the student, right? However, the number here on your speed, endurance, and force, you can see, you know, it is very different than, say for example, I have my wooden dummy, I put this on there, and then I just punch, and then if I have a force of 100 pounds, you know, for example, and then I can do it only, say, once every 5 seconds, while the MMA guy can do what? Can do every second, have 120 pounds and so forth. You know right away. People can do every second for 120 pounds of force, and then we only can demo 100 pounds per every 5 seconds, because we have the setup, we have the, you know what is the reality. And there's no need to endanger the student or doing those demo, okay? And that, again, what is the point of this fudging, internal power, mind power? Well, you know what? Let's convert it to this and see how is that measure up with our UFC MMA friend. Okay? Say you want to challenge Xi Xiaodong, well, get his number of this impulse momentum number and see whether we are par with it or not. If we are far away from with it, then we know that, hey, you know, better don't touch it. So it becomes an objective, scientific measurement here. So when we train, we know how is it based on the sports science, technology, and the practice around the world, that where we are. Instead of we just go sitting down there, I know how to fudging, I know how to short power. But how is that mapped into the big picture of the reality of MMA and martial art Western boxing, Thai boxing, and so forth. So that's why I like to share with you today with the H model, the heart rate model, with this and this, that can open up a entire new door, new paradigm. Because now one can have a good directions and can train effectively, efficiently, scientifically to get result and know that if one's supposed to train or not. For example, with this thing, if we cannot get up to the certain pound for the force, for the strike or the endurance, and the heart rate already go maximum up, then we know we're not supposed to do that. If we do that, we're going to screw up the body, right? Or if we think that we are so good already, we have so much internal fudging, but when we test on this one, it really doesn't give us any good number. We know those fudging is not real compared with the Western boxing friends. This is to face the reality and to minimize the injury on our own training. Okay, that's why again the Wing Chun Inception, it was written, it's called Inception because this Inception means beginning. We need to have a new beginning. Okay, we cannot keep saying, oh, I have the inch power, I have the fudging, I have the internal, I have the mind power, I have the Xing Qi to Dan Tian. Well, you ask those people who say that he can Xing Qi to Dan Tian, doing a Xing Qi to Dan Tian and check their what? SpO2, the oxygen in blood, see whether their SpO2, how is that do? Check their heart rate variability. Okay, that's why in the H model that is there. Okay, because there's a lung heart synchronization and so forth. And then if say people say, well, I can I have the Qi Gong, nurture Qi meditation, well, check on this. Unless we have this, we really do not know what to do. So this back to 450 years ago in General Qi Ji Guang time. Didn't the General Qi Ji Guang look into, based on technology, look into their sword compared with the samurai sword, look at their art, the Chinese, traditional Chinese martial art at that time, compare with the Japanese art, and then say, hey, now we need to reform the traditional Chinese martial art. No, this is not going to work. This weapon is not going to work. Based on what? Based on measurable scientific technology stuff, even though at 450 years ago, they are not as advanced as us today, but it's based on technology. This is what the Japanese pirate can do. This is what we can do. We have to make it par together instead of just go running around Chinese martial art for whatever they want, and then every time when they engage with the Japanese pirate, everybody lost. And so, also, you take away all this so-called internal power, all this thing. You have internal power, you have the Nei Gong or Qi Gong or internal whatever, fine. Check your heart rate variability. Check your SpO2. Check your impulse momentum. If you have that, soon it has supposed to be shown, will be show up in the data, like all our MMA friends here. So this is to share with you today. It is time to face the reality. Only by facing the reality, like General Qi Ji Guang 450 years ago, there's a future. Otherwise, there is no future. Before General Qi Ji Guang, go read history. What did those traditional Chinese martial people from Shaolin for everywhere can do? How come only after General Qi Ji Guang reformed the entire thing, only that time they can chase the Japanese pirate out? And then the technology influencing Korea and the Japanese side and the traditional Chinese martial art 450 years ago. So, sure, the Chinese is taking advantage of there's this General Qi Ji Guang technology 450 years ago. That's Chinese Kung Fu. But then you know what? After this 450 years, is getting more and more and more. The past 100 years getting more and more become what? Magic. And it just go off track. And now, it is a time to reform the entire thing. Repeat what General Qi Ji Guang do again. Did General Qi Ji Guang go learn the way of how the Japanese samurai use their sword? Or Japanese pirate use their sword? Sure. The General Qi Guang do that. So what to say that traditional Chinese martial art is the ultimate? It always comes from this Taoist or this monk from the cave and know it everything is ultimate. In the real life, that never exists. Read the Chinese history. That's a reality. We like it or not. If we face it and solve it, that is future. If we don't face it, we don't solve it, you don't even have more than 10 years or 1 decade. You'll be gone. Completely turn into what? Turn into a culture in heritage. It turned into a snapshot of the past and no longer alive. This is reality.